The residents here are dying to get out of this truly terrifying dwelling. Outside it's similar to any typical home, but inside is a different story. The occupants are seen in the shadows in varying levels of distress to paint a portrait of abject horror within. Turn off the lights, check behind the sofa and the doors because it's spooky town season, folks. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and I appreciate it's been a minute since we've been headlong into some Lemax reviews. And before we do, I'd like to say a few thank yous, especially to Charles, Ryan, Karen, Shelley and Dave for your recent purchases of the Blockbuster buildings, and for all your kind words of support. That's made me very proud, and I'm so pleased to see how pleased you are with your buildings, and I can't wait to see them in your villages this year, so thanks again, guys. So I've been on the fence for a little while with Spooky Town because, one, I'm in deep with Christmas villaging, and two, Halloween for me as a kid in the UK was much more about scary movies than it ever was about trick-or-treating, and that's something we've been very slow to embrace in the UK, sadly, because, as a kid, who doesn't love dressing up and getting free candy, right? Spooky Town, by and large, certainly plays much more on the playful side of Halloween and is very child-safe. You can have all sorts of buildings and figures without it being too dark or macabre that little Jimmy will want to sleep with the light on. But is there something more subjective to haunt your village? Less Casper and more Hitchcock?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Thankfully there is, and it's called the House of Shadows. So jumping into the specifications, the House of Shadows is 8.62 inches high by 8.78 inches wide and 5.31 inches deep, which in metric is 21.9 centimeters by 22.3 by 13.5 deep. This eerie abode was released last year in 2023 and is made of resin. As for the features, there is no internal scene and it does not have a power adapter. It's not an animated piece, nor does it have a soundtrack, but it does have external lighting. It doesn't have a smoke feature, but it does have a very nice internal lighting. The House of Shadows is a traditional Queen Anne style house with a notable bell roof tower and a decorative terracotta panel on the gable, and much like the 7 distressed souls inside, the house has seen better days, as you can see planks of wood nailed on the roof to repair the several holes that have appeared. The paintwork looks suitably weathered, but it's still very well finished. Lemax has done a great job on this one, especially when choosing the colours. The burgundy really contrasts nicely with the slate grey. I personally prefer this look compared to the overly glossy appearance of something like Creepy's Bed and Breakfast. Also on the outside is a post box, a water fountain and some crows or ravens. I'm not sure if the scooter or the ball belong to those inside, or if they belong to the neighbourhood kids that weren't quite brave enough to go and retrieve their property, but it's an interesting inclusion that's provocative and allows you to build a story. Speaking of stories, check out the link below for an original short story about the House of Shadows, and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more Tales of Spooky Town videos. Another feature that stands out against these muted colours is the bright red door, and even if that beware sign had not been hung on the door as a warning, the subliminal danger message from that red door as seen in A Nightmare on Elm Street and Insidious would make even the bravest of souls enter with trepidation. Perhaps the greatest defining characteristic of the House of Shadows is its lighting. Because this piece is made of resin, the light bleeds through the whole house and it does not rely on the external lights, of which there are only 3, to fully illuminate it. But the true magic and wonder of the lighting is delivered through the slow, pulsating light from inside that once intensifies on the silhouettes of the residents, adds a very creepy feel to the abode. The shadows projected in the windows are made of a vinyl film of blacks and greys, which while they are flat, feel like they add true depth when viewed. The shadows are present in all of the large windows along with some tassy curtains. Some of the shadows do look more cartoony than others, which I'm not as much of a fan of, but my favourite of them all would be the woman downstairs. It has a bit of the Ring vibe to its appearance. The House of Shadows was hugely popular last year, and I believe it's a modern day classic that fans will revere for years to come. If you are wanting a haunted house for your village, there aren't many better in my opinion than this one. Next time we're going to be taking a look at another Spooky Town building, and I think that one should be one of the very first that you purchase, almost essential. And if you're either new to Spooky Town or planning on expanding, I'll tell you how I plan on using it for theming in my village this year and for the foreseeable. I'm sure you won't want to miss that video, so if you haven't already, please take a second of your day to subscribe to the channel and tick the notification button. Thanks for watching and stay spooky.